Good morning. I know that it's not the 4th anymore. Now it's like the revenge of the 5th or something. But I had to take a break while editing yesterday and went for a walk and met this older man that were so nice, and we talked about birds and roads and politics, and it was such a weird and fun conversation with someone I've never met before. So yeah, that's the reason why I didn't have enough time to edit yesterday. But who cares?
May the 4th be with you. As today is Star Wars Day, I thought I would share some of my favorite science fiction books with just anyone. And hopefully, I might inspire someone to read these books so I have someone to talk about them with, or I will find other people that have already read them and wants to talk about them with me. Number 1, Scythe and Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. I read the first book in just a few days because I was so mesmerized by it, and then I got so mad because I realized that the second book hadn't been published yet, so I had to wait about 3 weeks for it to come out, and then I read it on the day it came out and finished it in about one sitting. And then I realized how stupid I was because now I had to wait for the third book for a really long time. There's still a couple of months left before we're there, but I'm so excited. And I won't say that much about the second book because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it's a really good book, like really good. So yeah, just read it. The first book, Scythe, is a utopian dystopia, and it's so well written, so interesting to read about this perfect world. The only thing that can destroy this utopia is us humans. Of course, we're gonna destroy it because we crave chaos. We're just stupid. We have the perfect world where we don't suffer, we can't die anymore, we have all the food we need, we don't really have to work, we work for like a hobby if we want to. Everything is just great, but still people think that that's not enough, and they have to have power and they have to feel something more. It is not as fast paced as other young adult fiction usually is, but I think that's good for this book because there's so much about this world that you want to learn about. I didn't think that it felt slow or boring because I was so immersed into this whole world. But if you're not that interested in world building, then maybe this is not the book for you. And that is actually one of the things that I loved the most about this book, that it's so thorough, and it made me believe that even though it's a science fiction book, it made me believe that it could actually happen. It wasn't that crazy how all of the events had led up to this situation that they had now. I just loved every second of the first and the second book, and I'm so looking forward to the third one. Number 2, Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. This book is about a man called Charlie who has a very low IQ and some kind of mental disorder, and he joins a research experiment where they are trying to make people more intelligent and raise their IQ. The other one that they have tried it out on is a white mouse called Algernon. They can see in the mouse that he has become very intelligent. He's able to go through mazes and just connect a lot of things. Charlie, he starts to become smarter and smarter every day until one day he realizes that he's so much more intelligent than all the other people around him. But being intelligent doesn't mean that all of a sudden all of your problems are gone and you will have an amazing life. He starts to realize that a bunch of the people that he thought was his friends they were just making fun of him all the time, and he can't keep his old job, and he starts to get bitter and very cynical, and just he becomes a totally different person, not so happy and outgoing anymore. One day, the IQ of the mouse algernon starts to shrink, and it continues to shrink every day without going up again. It just gets worse and worse until he is basically a normal mouse again. And Charlie realizes that this might happen to him, that all this knowledge that he's gained, that he might lose it and become what he used to be. It was such an emotional book that really made you think about people that have been healthy their whole lives, and then they get sick for some reason, or they get hurt in some way, and they lose a lot of what they used to be in a really short time, and they can never go back to what they used to be. That fright of knowing that you will get worse and worse and there's no coming back from that. This book is also brilliant in the way that it's written, because we only read Charlie's uh, journal entries, his reports that they collect for the study. At the beginning, they're very short chapters, and it's spelling errors, the grammar is bad, and it really feels like someone that don't write that much and can't write very well. And then it starts to get better and better, and the chapters get longer and more complicated. It's very interesting to just see that progress, because we learn about all the things that Charlie knows about now, but we also see it in how he's writing. It's just an amazing book that everybody should read, because it's emotional and interesting and just sad as well. But you should read it anyway. I mean, sometimes we just need to cry, and crying for a book is much better than being sad in real life. So, number 3, The Handmaid's Tale. Number 3. Wait, have I been doing this the whole time? Number 3, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Most of the people that I know have seen the TV series, but not that many have actually read the book. Even if you think you know the story, there's so many other things that you can get out from the book. For those of you that have not seen the TV series or read the book, this is a dystopian novel about a very conservative cult that have taken over the United States and turned it into a very different kind of country, where women are seen as ovens that are just used to carry babies, and everybody's indoctrinated to believe that this new, very controlled world is the best of all worlds. The way it was before was very chaotic, people were not safe, but now people are safe. It is told as an old journal, and we read the entries of a woman called Offred, who is a handmaid in this world, Gilead. The text is very simple and straightforward, and there are no real emotions written in it. And at first this can feel very off-putting, because it's difficult to connect to Offred as she is telling her journal about all of the things that is happening to her, because she is omitting so much about how it's making her feel. But then as the story goes on, you realize that she has to be like this. In her real life, she has to remove all emotions, because she can't show anything when she is talking to other people, and therefore she has to be in the same way when she's writing the book, because she can't just turn it off and on again. She has to be the same through it all. And then it gets very emotional, even though there's no emotions in the writing. It is a very dark world, and many times it feels very unreal and very unbelievable that something could happen, that something like this could really happen. But then if you think about it, we have societies today, we have countries that are very similar to this. And we have democracies where people have these kinds of thoughts that these conservative people are talking about, and the things they want. People today are expressing a very similar kinds of feelings. So even though it feels very unreal, it's very true to how society is working, and it's just very interesting to connect fiction with reality. Number 4, Vicious by VE Schwab. When I grew up in the 90s, there were a lot of action movies and action comedies that had a very distinct villain that had these weird laugh and wanted to take over the world, and they had henchmen, and they wanted to have a lair in a volcano or something, and they were all very strange and so colorful. I always thought that it would be so much fun to have a movie or a book that was about the villain's perspective. And Vicious is just that. It's a book about the villains of the story. What made them become who they are, and why are they doing what they're doing, and what's their goals, and just all of the things that they are thinking about. There's no real heroes in the story. It's a gray scale, and everybody can be good or bad depending on the situation. There were some characters that I liked to read about more than others, so some of the chapters I wasn't feeling that much, but even so the book was very entertaining and interesting, and it felt very unique. So, I mean, it's still worth reading and just enjoying watching the villains of the story trying to do what they do best. Number 5, Joyride by Jackson Lanzing. And even though this isn't technically a book, it's a comic book, I really had to put this in here because it's such a fun and colorful and beautiful, thrilling science fiction adventure with 3 young adults that take a spaceship and then just go all over the world to these weird planets with eagle aliens and just strange. There's so many strange and fun things happening all of the time. Sometimes you just need a fun and colorful read, and yeah, that's all that it is. And it's just like 3 books, 3 very thin comic books, so it's very fast to read as well. So yeah, just go and enjoy yourself. So those are the books that I recommend, and they're all a lot of fun to read, even though in very different ways. And yeah, may the fourth be with you.